Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Monster Hunter Wilds launch talk. Today we're talking cooking. The whole system in general is maybe more complicated than you thought it was from the beta. The way you unlock new ingredients, how actually insane the feasts are, the difference between rations and ingredients. I want to provide you with all the information and context around cooking to make the most use out of what you have, because obviously your ingredients list is going to be pretty slim during your first playthrough. So let's get into it. So when do you first actually unlock cooking? As you probably know by now, in low rank, you're going to very quickly have to deal with accumulatrice for the first time, which is basically getting in the way of the supply team actually making it to base camp. So after you deal with that, not only will you get your seikret up and running, but yes, the base camp will be updated, and now you'll actually be able to cook. To cook, you'll have two main options. There's going to be any tent, including the portable tents under the grill option, or say you're in the open world, you can pull out the portable BBQ grill. Is there like a key difference between these two things in terms of the meals and the results that you can get from them? Well, no. The very same thing you're doing in a tent is grilling a meal, so it's the same thing. You choose recommended meal, go for whatever. But obviously the difference with portable cooking is the fact that you can do it out in the wilds, even mid-hunt, mid-fight. Though you will get crushed by a monster if you do that. Maybe consider using a ghillie so you can do it without being targeted, if that's something you're insanely desperate to do. But yeah, there's not really a downside to doing it in the open world. You still somehow have access to all of your item box ingredients. You're not separated from that despite not actually being in the tent. To use the other option in a portable barbecue menu though, you need raw meat, which you can get from carving from small monsters. So as long as you've got some of that on you, you can actually use the grill meat menu. And this is basically just a mini game where you need to wait until it's roughly about cooked, so it's not, burning. And so you've got to cook the meat until it starts to change color. The moment that you hit the perfect color, which is not too long, that it just starts to get charred, that's when you pull it out. Then the second part begins where you cut the meat. There's a specific timing to this, so basically you're trying to time it so you cut it at the right time and then end up with 12 well done steaks, which would be the optimal result compared to the worst result, which would be 6. Either way, by cooking those, you'll end up with a nice supply of well-done steaks, which will provide you with max health and also stamina, which is really nice, but it also serves as a reasonably long potion heal, which could be used in an emergency if you happen to be just out of mega potions or something. So it is worth having them. You can only have 5 on you at a time, even just for the heal. It's quite nice. Now in regards to actually doing your cooking, it's not too complicated. You can probably go with recommended meal most of the time. In fact, that's probably what I've done 99% of the time. Basically, you're going to either cook with just rations or you're going to add ingredients and cook. You see how they light up when I hover over add ingredients? That's because there's a clear difference between rations and ingredients. If you choose custom meal, you get to actually choose, and then we have the first thing here, rations. Rations could be meat, fish, or veggies. And so that's the attack up, that's fish, that's element resistance. It's a pretty big difference. They gave us rations instead of meat, fish, or veggies so that you could maybe spam meat every single time, but never run out of specific meat. It means you have to gather this stuff a lot less, which is certainly convenient. The main thing that you're eating for really is the health and stamina so that you're actually getting that. So you can see that no matter what I pick, I'm getting some sort of benefit alongside that health and stamina increase. And the average time for this is 30 minutes. But that's when I start to add other ingredients that it changes. We now get food skills. We also get duration increase. So that adds another 20 minutes, putting it to 50 minutes total for this buff. You can hover over the ingredients to see what benefits you're going to get. For example, we've got defender meal low, so sometimes decreased damage taken, versus we have defender meal high, often decreases damage taken. And we can see here how many of these ingredients we actually have in stock. Based on the red chest icon, that means your item box. You can indeed check what kind of supplies you have right now by going to the item menu and go to transfer items and item pouch. If you come down to the item box, there's a few different tabs and it's a bit confusing. We have healing and support, we have traps and offense, and we have ingredients. Oh great, so this is where my food ingredients go? No, it's not. For some reason, they call crafting supplies ingredients, and then actual food ingredients you don't have a tab for. What you need to do is go to one of the final tabs here and you can see it at the end of the list. So these items here have a little special symbol at the top right, showing that it is a food ingredient, a little knife and fork. Importantly, there's also another kind of item here, special items, that has a little blue page and like a pen or whatever. These two types of things are linked because to get ingredients, you need to trade for them using special items. Meanwhile, to get rations, it's a lot simpler. Now you can kill small monsters and carve out some rations that way, but there is an ingredient center that will be set up in the base camp, and you can come speak with this guy whenever you can. There'll be a backlog of rations that's created, so you don't have to gather them regularly, but yeah, that's just how you get a basic supply of food rations and never really run out. Like I've got like 300 or something, and I permanently use them, so there's no worry on it. You'll also find throughout the story at different sections that you're going to be offered feasts. These result in a long, more potent stat buff, like say having more attack up if you ate meat for attack up, or more defense, or more element resistance if you ate for those. And the thing is, with a feast buff, you get all three instead of having to choose, and then their numbers are bigger as well. So just for that reason, feasts are worth taking every single time. But then obviously, depending on the feast that you get, where you have it, you also get a pile of extra skills beyond say 1 or 2 that you'd normally be able to get with normal cooking. So that's obviously awesome as well. You'll find that during the story, at the end of these feasts, you'll also get some ingredients given to you, which is just for the story. It's basically by completing the main quest, you get rewards. You'll find throughout all of the side quests and main quests that there'll be extra rewards at the end. A lot of them involve ingredients, and that will actually give you a nice supply of, say, Eastern honey for that kind of cooking, to never really worry about that for your playthrough. But it's not so simple to actually get those ingredients. You need to trade for them in general. So each region has a tribe, and as you progress the story with the tribe, you'll find that there is new options in terms of trading. This little symbol is that. It's a bag with some arrows and a hand identifying trading. So with certain NPCs, you can trade. As you can see, this NPC will offer me drool shrooms for cooking in exchange for a special item. In this case, they want sparkly treasure. So I can give 1 sparkly treasure and get 3 drool shrooms. So that's pretty decent rate. You'll find in the different tribes though, there are actually multiple people offering trades, between 2 and 3 on average. For example, this trader really wants wyvern coins, which you can collect all over the world, but I would strongly recommend you never use ancient wyvern coins for pretty much anything unless you desperately need it, so I wouldn't go ingredients on this. The reason for that is because the gold melding ticket exists, and it's absolutely insane, but it costs 30 coins, so it's a bad idea to waste your coins on anything other than this really, just as a heads up. Now, the idea of going around to each different village and the hubs, meeting with the item traders, seeing what they're offering, making these trades, it's probably going to sound kind of annoying pretty quick, and it absolutely would be if it wasn't for the village intermediary, which is something you unlock by completing the story. I'm covering who it is, what it is, just for spoiler purposes. But basically, from here, you're able to access every item trader from one location, which is super convenient. As one example though, I don't have any fluffy eggs right now, but there's a trade limit of 2. So while I have loads of these vases to make this trade, I can only get 2 right now, and it'll need to sort of refresh. So be aware that you need to do it now and then. You can't just infinitely do it in one go. Also, while I'm just stood here, just as a reference, the material retrieval mechanic is a thing that exists. You'll unlock it in each village, much like item trading throughout the story. And then when you eventually unlock this mechanic to see it all from one location, you won't have to go to each specific retrieval. These are essentially the farm mechanic of the game, and the things you can choose will be different based on the tribe and the offerings that you have. So yes, the farm mechanic is indeed in the game, don't worry guys. There were some reviewers saying it wasn't in the game. I assume they just missed it or something. But yeah, it's there. So, you're going to be completing the main story and getting special cooking ingredients. You're going to be doing side quests and getting those ingredients, but this is limited. The infinite source of it is through trading, as we've shown. So, you're going to need all kinds of special items, and based on the trade, specific ones. So, be aware that some gear actually has relevant skills for this. For example, the classic leather set in low rank immediately has the botanist skill, which, as you can see, increases the quantity of herbs and other consumables that you'll find. But even more important than that is the geologist skill. This is directly relevant. This, as you can see, increases the number of items you gain at gathering points. So at first level, that's just bone piles, but at second level, it means you get 1 extra item when gathering special items. Again, special items is the official name for items you use to trade for ingredients. So if you're ever hunting special items, you want 2 levels of geologist at the least. And yes, don't worry, this is also a decoration you can put into your armor in the late game. There's some advice I can give you for gathering special items though that can be useful. First up, I would recommend that you make a item loadout for gathering so that, you know, your bag is less full, so you're able to pick up a load of stuff while you're running around. It's very useful to be able to do that. Also, you want to have a set that has botany and geologist levels on it. just for the extra loot. And then you got to think about the fact that each locale has different rewards or different things you're going to find. To find them though, it's super easy. Just open up the map and then we press right on the D-pad and go to filter icons. And then I'm going to go filter by gathering. Then I'm going to drop to the bottom of the menu and here we are. So every single question mark gathering node, these are, as it says, a place for gathering special items. So let's say I need succulents from the Windward Plains. Well, here they are. And if I press right, there's another one, there's another one. I can literally just check where they all are on this locale in seconds. And then I can even put a marker on it, go run over and gather them. No problem. So there's nothing too hard about finding the specific things you want. You'll just need to go to each locale and take a look at the list at the bottom like I've just shown you under the gathering filter and head out and gather them. Now this is difficult for me to show when trying to avoid spoilers, but you can open up the proper main map, the world map, and look at all of the locales, and then go through the environment overview to the third page to see what's coming up next. There you'll see different kinds of upsurges, for example fulgurite shard upsurges, honey upsurges, or special named ones. These special name ones are more like rarer special items, a specific node you go pick up and get one thing from. There's a bunch in every locale that this can happen, and so my advice here is to just check the map of the locale and it'll tell you what's there right now. But let's say it said there's a specific type of upsurge here for a rarer material, or rarer ingredient rather, then it's well worth it to take the half second to go over to it, pick it up, because you might not see it again for a while. When you're in low rank, I would just say that the rule of thumb is to gather all the treasure that you walk past whenever you go near it. That'll give you a reasonable stock to trade for ingredients as you go through the story. And like I said, I was just doing no ingredient ration cooking for my entire playthrough. It wasn't an issue. But if there are any skills you want, then it's worth the effort. And if you're passively doing it when you walk past anyway and not thinking about it, by the time you get to endgame, you'll have a nice stock of items to trade for specific ingredients. Oh, and one thing here at the end as well, I just want to reference the support ship that will show up at random times. There you can request specific goods, such as misc items, which could be, say, special items, and trade-in items to help you actually manage your supply of this stuff. So why not take the extra stuff? But after progressing the story far enough and you come at night to the Wudwoods, they'll go up to the roof and access the bonfire cooking. Here you can give them different ingredients to roast. So trying to avoid spoilers and covering it here for you, there's a bunch of different monster tails that they want in particular, as well as other different parts. They result in the most rewards. So hiding the list and what I'm actually roasting here, I put 5 tails in and you can see that I'm going to get a bunch of meat and different rewards. So from this cooking I was able to get a pile of rations, like a big pile of them, and some other stuff like immunizer and energy drink, which is nice, and some unique items like the charred lizard. So if it's night and you happen to be able to pop over to the Scarlet Forest, might be worth it. The last thing I want to do is just offer you some relevant skills to just highlight that they're really good for different purposes. Like, for example, if you want to make yourself a meal that's just all about damage, this could be a great option. We've got meat for the attack up, we have the caprice meal skill, only in low here, and the medic meal for better healing from Eastern Honey. So to do a custom meal, we'll just go ahead and pick whatever we want. So let's go meat, additional ingredients. We're going to drop down to those eggs. There's the low version and the high version. Let's make one with the high version. So all it does is give you attack boosts at random intervals as you land multiple attacks in a row. So naturally better for your faster weapons. The higher version though will activate a larger attack boost by comparison. So let's put that in there. Then for the finishing touches, none of these are particularly good. I will note that there is a gatherer meal if you are going out and doing lots of gathering, then going for the truffle de conga gatherer meal perk could be worth it. But for actual hunts, I would say 99% of the time, you just go with Eastern Honey because it increases the amount of health recovered when you're healing. So once you picked your 3, you can pull up the edit favorite meal option, and then I will save that loadout and rename it. And I'll call that extra damage higher just as a comparison between those two. Then we'll go back to additional ingredients and take a look. You could go for the kunafa cheese if you want some defender meal to reduce the damage you take regularly. Good for a first playthrough. I also really like the black belt meal for stamina depletion. Let's say you're playing bow or dual blades or something like that, doing a lot of evading and a lot of stamina consumption. That's really nice for that one. The tumbler meal is great for extending the invulnerability period when invading. So let's say you are playing dual blades or bow. These both have a special dodge. Bow has discerning dodge, and then you've got dual blades with demon dodge. Basically a perfect evade. This means that that perfect evade is more forgiving and will trigger even on wider time dodges. Lastly, we have garlic. This gives you the classic Moxie meal, which prevents you from fainting at least once when you get carted. The higher version is just going to give you some healing on top of preventing that feint. So that's my overview of all things cooking. I hope I was able to give you the context and information you needed for your own playthrough to be sure in the choices you're making, or maybe more maximizing things you're doing while you're in your playthrough, like picking up special items or running Geologist 2 wherever you can. But as I've been saying throughout this, don't overly worry about it. At the end of the day, as long as you're running at least the ration meals, that'll give you the health and stamina you need on a solid 30-minute timer, so you'll never really have a problem with that. So that'll do it for now. I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.